So in this video, I'm going to talk about mindful eating. What is mindful eating? Who would benefit from it and why? So first off, we need to get to the basis of that and discuss mindfulness. So mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment without judgment. So it's being present, basically, not thinking about what you're doing tomorrow, not thinking about what you were doing yesterday, or not being distracted by anything, just being in the present moment and really understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're feeling while you're doing it. So mindfulness grounding, if you're someone who feels that they're not present a lot of the time, these are some simple tools you can do to, help yourself to be more present. So how am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I doing? And how I breathe? How is my breathing? So there are some things to ask yourself if you want to feel more present in the moment. Very quick and very easy exercise to do, just brings you back to the present moment. So the benefits of mindfulness then, ongoing studies, these are proven benefits, but they do have to be practiced consistently in order for them to be as beneficial as possible. So it helps to be less reactive and make better choices, create space between the trigger and response, reduces stress levels, increase self-regulation and gain self-control. So you may be kind of seeing now why I'm bringing this into nutrition. So let's say if you're someone who's trying to lose weight, trying to change your eating habits, trying to improve your relationship with food, then of course creating space between the trigger and response would be beneficial, especially for those who suffer with emotional eating. Reduces stress levels. We all know it's much easier to make better decisions when we're less stressed, and increases self-regulation, gain self-control. So if you're someone who maybe doesn't have full control anymore of your eating habits, then of course this is going to benefit from you too. So all of these overlap, but all of them combined will be very beneficial in nutrition. So mindless eating then, it's very prevalent obviously at the moment with all the usage of phones and Netflix, and we're always eating, in cases where we're watching TV or on our phones. But also we are always rushing now as well, so we're on autopilot a lot of the time. So you can have a quick glance of the external and internal reasons for mindless eating. And there's lots and lots of them, but I think the phones, the scrolling through social media and rushing is one of the main ones now. And also the accessibility to food. So like we don't really have that much value anymore in things because it's so accessible. Like let's say I can't think of the word now, but the way food can just be dropped at our doors within 5 minutes. Whereas before we may have had to travel for takeaways, and like it may have been, miles away, and we'd really appreciate it when we get there. But now it's like, oh God, I can't think of the new system where they just drop it at your door. You don't even have to ring. I bet you someone's watching now going, saying it and like leave a comment. Okay, so benefits of mindful eating. Reduces stress, increases enjoyment, easier digestion, reduces calories, lose weight, less binge eating, control food instead of it controlling you, and enjoy the moment. So if I'm to just make a comment on each of these, so reduces stress, you're obviously more aware of what you're eating, so you've less kind of guilt and all that kind of stuff. Increases enjoyment, so you can actually taste it, become aware of the texture, like the flavors and all that kind of stuff, and just appreciating it more. Easier digestion, so when you slow down and actually chew your food, it digests when you actually chew it. So chewing it isn't just like 1, 2, it's actually like breaking it down in your mouth before swallowing, and that aids digestion as well. Also when we slow down, it's much better for our digestion too. So that's why when you eat, when you're rushing, you can often get really bloated and like really gassy and stuff. Reduces calories, so obviously when you're full, it takes the body a little while, up to 20 minutes actually, to register that it's actually full. So of course then if you slow down, you're going to be full within a bigger window for your body. It gives your body more of an opportunity to say, right, I'm actually having enough now, so you can stop. Whereas if you just scoff it all down, it doesn't really register until it's too late. Yeah, so the rest of them then are fairly straightforward, fairly self-explanatory. Enjoy the moment. So yeah, just be present in the moment without worrying about what you're going to do after the meal. Um, Kind of just focusing and really giving your attention to it. Okay, so who would benefit? Those who struggle with emotional eating patterns, such as overeating due to negative emotions. So if you're someone who just reaches straight for the biscuits or whatever it is when you're feeling any negative emotions, so stress, worry, just upset or whatever, then taking that moment to kind of register how you're feeling the feeling and allowing yourself to feel the feeling. So like breathing into it and stuff are good techniques to do rather than reaching straight for the food. Eating when nervous or excited, this one often we're often oblivious to this one actually. We don't realise that we do it. There's so much focus put on like stress eating and sad eating that we don't actually think about what about the time we're nervous or really excited? Are we eating then? Are we grazing then? And if you're someone who falls under the emotional eating umbrella, then the likelihood is you are, um, without being kind of realizing it. So let's say if you have an event coming up, let's say if you're heading off somewhere, like a wedding, whatever, are you feeling a little bit more inclined to reach for food? Um, Maybe not if your dress was tight, but yeah, so that's just one to be aware of. Inability to tell the difference between feelings and hunger. And this definitely happens if, people lose their connection between feeling hungry and feeling sad or stressed in some cases. They're not really sure when they're hungry because they eat for so many different reasons other than being hungry. And you can lose your sensitivity to that. Restrictive eaters, so if you're someone who restricts a lot, very strict diet, then this will benefit you. Those who struggle with their relationship with food, that's kind of what we discussed previously about, emotional eating and things like that. Those who rely on food for comfort in any way. So again, reaching for the food when you feel a negative emotion or a happy emotion in some cases. So if you're someone who may be thinking this could be something that you're struggling with, then just to kind of make it more clear for you, it varies in severity. So there's different levels of it. Don't just think, oh my God, that sounds like me. There must be something really wrong. Then don't panic. Like some of it's actually quite normal. So some of it is normal. It's when it becomes your main coping mechanism and it has a hold on you rather than you being able to kind of control it, then that's when you need to step in and really kind of do something about it. But it is normal in some ways. Like an example of that would be you're on your period, you want a bit of chocolate to give you a pick me up, you're feeling a bit crap. Like that's normal. It's when you can't get a handle on it, when it's your main coping mechanism and focus, that's when you need to kind of step in. And even if it's not your main coping mechanism, I think you have a gut feeling if you know that it's, other people don't tend to struggle like that, or if you know that it's causing you more stress, then that's when you need to really do something about it for yourself. Characteristics of emotional eating, sensitive to external cues, so any kind of social things like temptations being there, you can't actually focus on anything else because you can see a pastry stand, or any kind of stress, you're automatically reaching for something, sensitive to things like that. Using food to cope with difficult emotions, so that's kind of overlapping with the first one. Lack interoceptive awareness, being able to feel bodily sensations such as fullness, so that's common enough. Um, People actually lose their ability to tell when they're full. I suppose it's just from so much mindless eating over the years, so much overeating and things, that you kind of lose your sense of being able to tell. So becoming more mindful and aware of what you're doing is very beneficial in that case. Desensitized to hunger and satiety. So like I said again, you lose it over the years. Satiety is obviously feeling satisfied, so you can lose that. If you're so used to shoveling in things and not really having that much awareness, then of course you're going to lose your ability to tell if you're satisfied or not. A lot of the time that actually comes under the emotional eating again. If you're really stressed and even if you're full, your body's all confused and your brain is unsure because you're eating for numerous reasons other than being hungry. Okay, so mindful eating regulates emotional eaters by reducing stress. You can read those on the screen as well, besides me harping on, but most of them I've mentioned already. Allowing more helpful choices when it comes to eating is definitely one of the main things there. Being able to do what you actually want instead of it controlling you. So if you don't want to reach for those potatoes or whatever it is, you have the power to say that you're not doing it, and having the ability to make the decision and sticking with it. So mindful eating is flexible, tuning into hunger and satiety, really tasting your food, learning when you've had enough, choosing food wisely, balancing inner wisdom with outer wisdom. So of course, anyone who's trying to improve their nutrition, trying to improve their relationship with food, lose weight, or whatever it is, this is going to benefit them massively. So no one way to eat mindfully. It's simple but not easy. Paying attention to what you eat, why and how also. So feel, enjoy, observe, taste and notice. They are the steps to go by. Even just becoming aware of different flavors, textures, really like being aware of chewing your food. They're things that would really benefit and have benefited me. So mindful eating enhances the power of awareness, choice, and empowerment. So increases awareness. Am I hungry or am I bored? So you have to stop and think when you're trying to make that decision. And that automatically brings you back to being present. Empowers people to make choices and stick to that choice. Discussed that briefly already. Helps regulate emotions before making decisions. Allows a cool off period instead of reaching for a snack to cope. And that's something I spoke about as well above. It allows you to just have that space and that thought, let the thoughts process, and of course make better decisions then. Balances inner and outer wisdom. I'm not feeling hungry, so I'm not going to eat that. Doesn't ignore external reasons for overeating, and it helps it identify triggers. So it helps you identify what is it that's making you, behave in that way. And all those kind of things. So surfing the urge, on average, have a video on this one too, which will be either before or after this. On average, cravings don't last more than 30 minutes. Surf and allow them to drop away. People tend to think the craving will get worse and worse, but it actually eases as time passes. So when you get a craving, don't automatically think that you have to give in, or else it won't go away. They do actually drop off, and that is something that it really helps when you're in a situation where you're really craving, understanding that it will ease even if you don't give in. So some challenges faced then. It requires practice. In order for it to be beneficial, it requires practice. Social eating, difficult to be mindful when there is social pressure. So if you're maybe, let's say, at a group, eating in a group setting, trying to make conversation, hold conversation, you can lose kind of your mindfulness towards your food, and that's very normal. That happens. So it's just one of the challenges. So coping strategy for some. So then it's been your main coping mechanism for years, and you need to go find another one. And that is challenging for some people, but it is doable. It doesn't work in solo, so you need to be doing extra stuff. Like, let's say if it's your mindset you're struggling with, you need to be doing things like maybe meditation, journaling. You need to have a toolbox you can use, rather than putting all your eggs in one basket. Resistance, you need to be open-minded. So some people might think, oh, that's very airy-fairy, that's not going to work for me, but you need to be open-minded to these things. So if you want to have a look at the different little tips there to think about. Okay. So top tips: never eat meals in a highly stressed state. Wait until intense feelings pass. So you know yourself when you're up to 90. Leave yourself, come back down to a bit of a baseline before you make your decisions. It becomes a lot easier to process things, and it will aid your digestion as well. And no scrolling through social media when eating meals. This has definitely been a game changer for lots of people. As I said, your body has more of a chance to realise when it's full. You enjoy your meals more and you appreciate them more too. And of course, that's going to be beneficial for everyone across the board.